Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
What's good, TV?
Yo, what up? You know what time it is, man. It's your boy Face from Flight School TV, and I'm here with Chicago's own Ariana, aka Mala Pimpin' on Instagram. In case you follow her, that might be how some of y'all might know her by that name. So I met you at the fashion show at Prism for the Iridium and Perillo swimwear.
Yes.
And I did short interviews with the models there. And when you got to speaking, it really stood out to me because a lot of things that you said in that short message is a lot of issues and things that I've noticed in the fashion industry right now. But we're going to get into that part of the story. But before we dive that deep into the conversation, I want to start off with you introducing yourself to the people.
So my name is Ariana Aguilar, and aka Mala Pimpin'. So I am a Chicago plus size model. I originate from Chicago. This is my city. This is where I come from. I love it, and I love modeling. So that's basically, what I do. Like, I'm a plus size influencer, and I have a lot of other stuff, under my sleeve and that I do, like other hobbies and all that. But yeah, it's just, I'm basically like a huge mystery box. Like, you don't even know what, what I have coming.
So let's dive into it a little bit more. So for the people to understand you as a person a little bit more, how did you get into modeling in general?
So honestly, never in a million years would I ever think that I was going to be modeling. Like, if you were to ask me 3 or 4 years ago, oh, you should be a model, I would literally be like, girl, what are you on? No, And what got me into modeling was basically people telling me how inspiring, how I would inspire them, how I would inspire them by wearing certain clothing that they never thought of wearing. And because I've always been the type of person that, yes, I dealt with a lot of insecurities growing up, a lot of anxiety growing up, because I've always been the bigger person, the bigger girl in my class, the bigger girl in the crowd. I've always been la más gordita, so I honestly would be insecure about that, and I would just, it would tear me down. I would feel like, damn, why, God, why didn't you make me like these other girls? Why am I such the different one in the crowd and stuff? And one day, when I was working on State Street, I was a receptionist. I was on lunch, and I'm a very, very, very spiritual person. So I believe that certain people come into your life and cross your path for reasons and stuff like that. So on my lunch break one time, I was walking down Wacker, minding my own business, and then out of nowhere, this designer comes up to me hey, you're very beautiful. I would love for you to come and just try on certain things and stuff like that. So I was just okay. So I gave it a shot. I was just okay, what can I lose? So I did that, and honestly, that was a spark of it. That's what sparked my motivation to keep modeling, and that's where I am now.
So how long ago was that?
This was about a year and a half ago.
So what was your first fashion experience like?
My first fashion experience, so my biggest thing so far was the fashion show on Friday. I've done photo shoots, for small boutiques. I'm all about women empowerment. I'm all about helping women build what they want, build their boutiques, build their brand. So I would reach out to, different boutiques and say, hey, if you guys need any plus size modeling, I'm here, free of charge. I'm not going to be charging people when I'm barely starting, So and that honestly opened up so many doors. And I did have experience, I did try working through agencies and stuff like that, and I just was not feeling that. I was like, no, I don't feel like that's for me to be working for an agency or something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, since you brought up the agency aspect, I noticed that some models, they build their social media following, and they approach it as like, okay, I'm gonna get out here and build my own name up. But then some people just like to find work faster, they'll join an agency, or maybe just for that some type of structure into what they do, and they'll join an agency. What do you see like the pros and cons of doing it your way?
So I definitely, I mean, I don't mind telling you my experience. When I was working for an agency, I just felt like I was being controlled. Like I felt like, yes, I was getting a lot of opportunities. I was getting a lot of like, doors were opening faster for me. But it wasn't really, I just felt kind of not right about it because, you know, I feel like at the end of the day, they're not doing it well, that's what I felt from that particular agency. Like at the end of the day, they're not doing it to help me. They're doing it because of them, because they're going to benefit out of it, you know, because they're going to get their 10% and stuff like that. And then the one thing that I decided, like, you know what, fuck that, I'm not going to be working for no agency, was when the agency was like, oh, I believe you have so much potential, like you're beautiful, but I think you should lose like about 30 pounds. And I was like, excuse me, like what? Like I honestly, like that really, it got me motivated even more, because I was like, man, the hell with you guys, like I'm gonna do this myself and I'm not gonna change a damn thing. Like that is why I'm doing this, because I am a plus size model. Like there are girls out here that are my size, that are smaller, that are bigger. Like, no, you're not gonna cookie cut me and put me like in this category just so that I can be a successful plus size model.
Right. Because that's something that I noticed too, because I was looking at something, and they did this, I guess Victoria's Secret call themselves adding plus size models to their runway show, but they plus size models was like almost like barely any bigger than they normal models, so I guess they consider that plus. But
I don't shop at Victoria's Secret.
I often feel like I told you when we first met, like representation is important.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if you're a person of color, the size, or anything. Like being able to see yourself is very important for not just consumers who want to buy that product, but also just for the person that might just scroll through like window shopping. You know, if we don't see ourselves in movies and in certain catalogs and, you know, things like that, we often feel like that's not for us, or we don't belong.
Yeah.
So I commend you for what you're doing, because it's a powerful thing. So you are not only representing for the plus size models, but also the Latina side.
Yes, I represent my Latinas, all different, you know, there's so many different types of Latinos, you know, like it's not just Mexicans. Like I'm 100% Mexican, like I'm Mexican as fuck, like I don't care, like I love it, like, you know, arriba Durango, Chihuahua, Guanajuato, like I love where I come from. And not only that, but you do see a bigger women in the Hispanic culture, in the Latino culture, you know. And I just feel like everyone, you know, for us Latinas, like we get so caught up in like, oh, I need to be like that person of that race and stuff like that. Like I need to be this specific model or this specific size, and just to fit in. And like I just feel like every culture is so beautiful that we need to embrace it. We need to show that we love it, like that we love where we come from, and just be orgullosos, you know, like God made me like this. He did not make me a tall Amazon woman for no reason, you know?
Right. So why do you think we don't see more people that reflect the people we see on the street? Because that's something that I always question in my mind. Because you'll see so many brands that go for a certain look, but that look is few and far between. Like it doesn't represent the average person. The average person isn't a size 0.
Right.
Like, and most women, especially, it doesn't matter what color you are these days, you got, if women don't have bodies, they getting injections. They want bigger butts, but you see so many curvy women on the streets in a daily aspect. Doesn't matter if it's in music or just walking down the street. We see women with curves.
Right.
But when we look at the catalogs for the clothing or the swimwear or all these different things that we might want to buy,
Right.
all we see is like size 0 and no body shape, and that's just like the goal. Why do you think that is?
I just feel like everything is so processed, you know, like everything is so processed nowadays, where it's like they want to put this image out in the world, like this is the way that you should look, this is the way that you should talk. Like I'm not trying to get all political, but I mean, like, people that are just saying like, oh, you gotta speak English to live in America. Like, no, you know, that really, and everything that's going on today is just all building up to my point, because that has to do, like, funny you say that, I'm gonna get to the whole injection thing in a bit, but the way you say like, oh, why do they want to have it like a certain way in a like the certain woman, the perfect woman, this is how everybody should look, that is, to me, that is like saying like, oh, everybody needs to speak one language, everybody needs to be one color and one race, everybody needs to be the same, and that is so ridiculous to me, because like, God did not make us all the same. We are from different places in the world for a reason. Like, that's why it's called the United States, you know, because we are united, like, from all different types of countries all over the world.
Right, we're all immigrants here.
Exactly. So that's why it's so amazing to me. And little by little, I'm making a change. I'm doing what I gotta do to prove my point, to make my imprint in this world, you know. And then talking about the injections, like, that's why I feel even more orgullosa, is well, prideful. Sorry, I speak Spanglish a lot. Like, I don't even catch myself. But that's why I'm so orgullosa to be a plus size woman, because, man, I remember being in high school in 8th grade, all that, like, damn, like, that style back then was like skinny as hell, you know, like, you gotta be skinny as hell to be a model. You gotta be, I would like remember being so frustrated going to the store with my mom, like, nothing fits me, you know, da da da. So, and then now you see these girls spending thousands of dollars for big booties, for little waists, for big old boobies, when it was just like, girl, you were like shaming us not too long ago because we had all that, you know what I mean? So that's why I want to tell all my gorditas, all my plus size women, like, girl, do you know how much women are spending money to have what you have? Like, and that's just amazing. That just proves our point even more. And it's just, everything, you know, happens for a reason, you know what I mean? So I feel like we should just feel even more prideful, even more like, I'm beautiful, I don't care. Like, girl, don't come at me talking about I'm fat when you're over here making an appointment with Dr. Miami, waiting a whole year to get this type of, you know what I mean? I can go on and on, but.
So, like, we in Chicago right now, and Chicago is known for being a diverse city. And a lot of times, like, I would say that if you was taking the path that you're taking now, and I don't know, let's just say, I don't even want to single out a certain place, but if you was elsewhere in a place that was less diverse than Chicago is, do you think it'd be a lot harder for you to break through?
I feel like it would be a lot more challenging. I feel like it would just be a little bit more challenging for me, but I would still do it. Like, knowing how I am, I would still make a way, you know what I mean? But thank God I was placed in Chicago. I love my city. So I just feel very blessed to be born here and to be representing, like, here where I'm at.
So when it comes to as we keep going back to representation and seeing yourself, you're trying to change the dialogue around that. And you got and it's an uphill climb, because a lot of these companies don't want to see us. You know what I'm saying? So, like, are you really prepared for, like, some of the some of the struggles that you're gonna face? Like,
Hell yeah. I'm sorry to cut you off.
no, go ahead.
No, I am. Like, I was raised by two very, very strong people, especially like I feel blessed to be raised by my parents, by teaching me from very, very little the the right path. Like, I just feel like if I wouldn't have been in that household all my life, I would not be how I am right now. Because that, honestly, like, my parents gave me the toughest skin, and I feel like being bullied gave me even more of like a tougher skin. Like, I was bullied most of my childhood. I was bullied literally most of my life. Like, I'm 22 years old, but I was bullied most of my life. And that honestly made me super strong. It made me super, like, I'm about to do this even more. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it gave me even more strength to just keep going. If I was bullied when I was 8 years old, what makes you think that I'm not going to be able to handle it when I'm 22,
Right. Mm-hmm. So if somebody watching this, like, what advice would you give to a younger kid that's out there and they probably going to school getting picked on, teased? Like, what would you say to them, being an older, mature person than you were? If you can look back and say, man, I wish I had somebody in my corner that would have said this to me just to get me through that day.
Well, I would definitely say, because I have a younger sister who looks up to me, who, like, she's 11 years old, and I tell her all the time, like, because she's a bigger girl like me, and I remember being her age. I remember being, like, going to school, and I always tell her, like, look, when people pick on you, when they make fun of you, don't steep down to their level. You know what? Because they're gonna get theirs. They're gonna get theirs at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And man, they don't know how powerful you are. Like, don't let people criticize you for how you look, for how you are, for where you come from. It's just, I want to tell younger people out there, you do not have to change for no one. Like, love yourself. Self-love is the most important thing, I feel like. I honestly, and it's never too late or it's never too early to find your self-love. And I feel like a lot of kids these days, a lot of younger people, they don't feel that. Like, they don't know what it is. And I really, really, really enforce that in the younger generation, because, man, like, I just see so many people who love themselves, and it's beautiful because they don't look like these models. They don't look like, how society wants us to look. So I just want to tell the younger generation that we are all beautiful. We are all beautiful in our own way. Don't let anyone knock you down. Man, there's always going to be haters. Always. And, just being able to keep your ground and just keep strong. Like, just let them talk their shit. Let them, let them do what they got to do. But just prove them wrong, because they're the people who talk shit, the haters, they're the ones that are fighting the demons that they have in them. Yeah. They're the ones that they wish they felt or looked like the person, Yeah. I totally believe that.
Like they say, hurt people.
Right.
It be people with their own insecurities, projecting their bad energy onto you, because they see you walking around with your head held high, and they got to figure out some way to bring you down to where they at. So I totally agree with that. I mean, how would you, because bullying is something that kids is dealing with from all angles now. It's like you got the social media bullies, you got the wannabe tough people in school, then you got the judgmental eyes that you just walk past on the street. Like, how do you what's the best way to deal with bullies?
Well, honestly, I feel like bullies come from being raised poorly. I definitely believe that that's where it all starts, because parents have a lot to do with this. And I feel like, look at it this way, when you have a child, it's like planting a seed, it's like having like a garden. You have to keep watering that garden. You have to keep taking care of that garden, nourishing that garden. You just don't have like a criatura in this world and just let it, like, figure itself out. That's how they go to the wrong paths. You know what I mean? And I feel like parents really need to step in their child's life more. Like, check their social medias, teach them not to be bullies, teach them the right way, because, you know, to be honest, like, I remember one time my little sister coming up to me telling me, like, oh, like, this person's bullying me. And honestly, like, what got me mad, like, lo que me dio el coraje, was to talk to that person's mom. Like, are you really not raising your kid right?
Right.
Like, your kid is over here making other people feel bad, and that reflects bad on you.
Yeah.
So I just feel like with bullying, parents have a lot to do with that. The people that are raising them have a lot to do with that. Because the kid does not just, you know, kids are sponges. They don't just, like, you know, oh, I'm going to be a bully for the rest. You know, like, they learn that from somewhere.
Right, yeah.
So,
Racist, I always say racist people, bullies, they aren't born that way.
Right.
They're created. Whether it be the environment, society, or the people that's raising them. Somewhere along the line, they're being taught destructive behavior.
Yep.
And that destructive behavior messes with somebody else's life, which might mess with somebody else's life, because if this person feel bullied, they might find somebody else that they feel like they can bully, and it's just a cycle that never ends.
It is. It's a cycle that never ends. But we have the power to end that. You know what I mean? Like, this generation definitely has the power to end all racism, all, you know, like, society, what they want us to look like, all that. But, I mean, it's a progress. I pray for this world every single day. Like, I pray that one day, like, my kids don't have to deal with no type of racism or no type of, you know, body shaming and, you know, stuff like that. So.
Right. I totally agree. But, man, I honestly think it's amazing that you use your platform and what you're trying to do to further yourself, but also further a message and a certain agenda. Because we living in a time full of so much hate and divisiveness and separation that we need more people like you to be like, all right, I know what the world is telling me, but fuck that. This is what I believe. This is what I hold true to my heart.
Yep.
And if you don't fuck with it, you don't fuck with it. I don't care. And we need more people like that, but instead of more, because I feel like we live in a society full of followers.
Right.
And like, it might not be a person this person might not be a bully. That person might not be a racist person, or a sexist person, but to fit in with their friends who might be racist or might be sexist, they might conform and change the behavior that come natural to them to fit in with a crowd.
Exactly.
And so when I see examples like yourself, I always salute it, because it takes a certain level of strength and certain level of confidence. You know what I'm saying? To be like, all right, this is who I am. I accept it. If you don't accept it, then fuck you.
Yeah.
And that's dope to me. You know what I'm saying? So I really commend you on what you're doing.
Thank you.
And any way I can help, I wish you further success. And you know, Flight School TV, we got your back 100%.
Thank you.
And anytime you want to talk about anything, you know, you can reach out to us, and let's keep this shit going. Was there anything that you want to say to close it out?
Well, I just want to say, you know, like you were just saying, you know, trying to fit in with people will have an impact on how you are. And I had to do some very dirty work recently, like cutting off people that were no longer serving me, cutting off people that were affecting my views, that were like contaminating my, you know, sacred space. So I feel like people need to just, if they're not doing you no good, if they're not helping you grow, cut them off. Because I swear, like, as soon as you cut off all the dead ends, like, you're gonna get to where you want even faster. And I just want to say that, you know, the people that I look up to they have a really big impact on who I am and who I'm becoming. So definitely, like, just being positive, staying strong, staying firm, keep your feet planted. Don't let no one ever, like, try to change you, move you, do nothing. Like, just stay strong and get to where you want to get to. And yeah, and I just want to say a big shout out to my friends that help me, you know, that support me, that inspire me, that have given me, like, the best advice at times. And I'm so proud of the people that I have in my circle. I'm so proud of my family that I have. I'm so proud of like my little nucleo, you know, my little circle, because I can tell you right now, even my best friends are doing big things. Like shout out to DPHR Studios. You know, my best friend, he just created his business. He has music studio, and my best friend Jared, that has her business going on. Like, it's just, you are who you hang around with. Thank you, Abuelita, for always telling me that. But yeah, it just makes you the person who you are, and I just want to thank all of my people.
Yeah, and if you don't know, man, it's Flight School TV. We're sitting here with Ariana. And if you don't follow on social media already, make sure that you start following her. That's Mala Pimpin'. We'll put all the information in the video. And man, thanks for tuning in, man. Get in tune, Flight School TV.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Flight School TV.